Good morning, good afternoon, or good night, and welcome to Command Power, the show in which we discuss all things Magic the Gathering with a focus on Commander. And today we have a brand new deck for you, but before that, just a quick reminder to please click like and subscribe if you enjoyed my videos. We're well on our way to 1 million subscribers and every single click counts. And today's deck is going to be centered around Agrus Kos, Spirit of Justice. For 2 colorless, 1 red and 1 white, it's the legendary creature Spirit Detective 2/4 with double strike, vigilance, and whenever Agrus Kos, Spirit of Justice enters the battlefield or attacks, choose up to 1 target creature. If it's suspected, exile it. Otherwise, suspect it. A suspected creature has menace and can't block. So from the moment this was spoiled, I thought it looked really strong, and after having gone up against it in Limited, I can say that it is incredibly tough to play against there, and obviously in Commander you're going to be able to build around its abilities much more. So for sure this is going to be a very powerful Boros Commander, which is going to play out a little bit differently from your usual Boros decks, and that's because you have basically repeatable removal on your Commander, which is very nice. Of course, for that you're going to need him to either enter the battlefield a lot or attack a lot, so that's mostly what this deck is going to be focused around. Blink effects in order to get his ETB multiple times, and ways to get extra combat steps so that we can continually attack with him and exile our opponent's things. The nice thing and what makes it play really well is often the best creature on your opponent's side is one that you're not going to be able to attack into with Agrus Kos, but of course once you suspect it, it can't block anymore, which means that it's very easy to get the ball rolling with this and to get multiple triggers out of it, which should help you finish the game in quick succession. So anyway, without further ado, let's get started, and we're starting off with Aerial Extortionist. This plays very well into the strengths of the deck. We want to be exiling problem creatures, and this definitely does that. It also has an ETB and a combat damage trigger, so again, it works really well with what we're trying to do, and it can also draw some cards, which is very nice. Angel of the Ruins has a very powerful enter the battlefield ability, and it also works very well with a slight reanimation sub-theme that we have in the deck, and to top it all off, it can fix our mana. Aurelia the War Leader is a very powerful classic effect that works particularly well with all of our blink effects, because once the new Aurelia comes in, it doesn't see the old one's ability and can attack again. Ardent Elementalist is going to work really well with our instant and sorcery package. It can even go close to infinite with something like Elish, Norn, and Ephemerate. Blade Splicer is in there as a way to finish off our blink effects. It's a really decent amount of stats on turn 3 that we can then blink to get extra value. Charming Prince works well as either a blink target or as a blink effect itself. Charming Scoundrel gives us 3 pretty good options, and the failsafe is it coming in as a 2/2 with haste, which is okay. Crucially though, it can also ramp us into our commander on turn 3. Selena Wildmage can give us extra copies of Agrus Kos, which of course means extra exile, and it also can make extra copies of any of our other powerful enter the battlefield creatures. Delny Streetwise Lookout is going to be really good in this deck because we have a bunch of creatures with strong enter the battlefield abilities with power 2 or less, so this fits perfectly. Elish Norn, Mother of Machines, is going to double all of those enter the battlefield abilities that we're going to have. Additionally, it's kind of nice that it paints a target on itself because that should protect some of our other pieces from removal. Fiend Hunter is very good in a deck with this much instant speed flicker effects because we can do the old trick of layering the triggers so that the creature gets permanently removed. Flicker Wisp is a sorcery speed blink effect. That's usually not great, but in a deck like this with so many valuable enter the battlefield abilities, it can be pretty nice. Fury has been an absolute menace in some of Magic's formats in the past. It's still really good here as a way to clear some small creatures, and obviously once we start blinking it, it gets even better. Gilrain, Dunedain Protector is a great way to rebuy our enter the battlefield effects by blinking creatures. It also makes it so that if we leave 2 mana up, it's very difficult for our opponents to interact with our board. Karlov Fury of Avernus gives us extra combat steps, which is something that we desperately want in this deck. Comic Guide is a reanimate creature with power 2 or less, which means it's affected by Delny and some other cards in the deck. Conceal's Flanker is great after a board wipe, but it also comes with Graveyard Hate, which is always good to have, and the failsafe of getting 2 life and scrying 2 is perfectly fine. Lauren of the Third Path is another creature with power 2 or less that actually comes with removal stapled onto it. Molten Primordial is a pretty powerful finisher in this deck. Seeing as a lot of our opponent's creatures are going to be suspected and unable to block, we can steal the others that can block and even blink this so that we get to steal another bunch of creatures, at which point it's going to be very difficult for our opponents to survive. Nelly Borka, Impulsive Accuser, is going to be very nice here by making it even harder for our opponents to attack us and keeping everything goaded, and it can also draw us a few cards. Plundering Barbarian has 2 very decent choices, so it's a great target for flickering. Professional Facebreaker is going to be very nice, seeing as our opponents are not going to be blocking very easily. Restoration Angel is one of the best flicker creatures in the game. It's just so powerful to protect our board from removal or get an extra enter the battlefield trigger. Revelock is going to be really nice with all all of the power 2 or less creatures that we have in this deck. Roaming Throne is in the deck as usual to copy the triggers from our commander. It's particularly good in this deck, so I hope you'll excuse me using it. Samwise the Stout-Hearted can provide some recursion for not only our creatures but our permanents, which is very nice. We can even flicker it after something we want to recur is removed. Solemn is a great way to ramp, particularly good when we can rebuy ETB abilities. Solitude is quite expensive, but it is a very powerful effect on a creature, so it's great in any blink strategy. And Sun Titan can rebuy all sorts of enter the battlefield effects in this deck, which is very nice. For sorceries, we have Seize the Day. This is very powerful with Agrus because we really only just want to be attacking with him for the most part. For artifacts, we have Blackblade Reforged, which can make our commander very big, and if we have a way to make it unblockable, which we have a couple of in the deck, then it should be able to get through for a lot of damage. Conjurer's Closet rebuys our best enter the battlefield turn after turn. Key to the City is one of the ways we can make Agrus unblockable, and it also allows us to draw some cards. This card always overperforms for me. Lightning Greaves and Swift Foot Boots can give our commander haste and make sure he doesn't need a removal spell. Panharmonicon, just like Elesh Norn, is going to double our enter the battlefield abilities. Sunforge is going to be very good in this deck because we have 12 instants that serve a variety of purposes, and Sword of Hearth and Home can ramp whilst also blinking a creature to rebuy its enter the battlefield abilities. Moving on to instants, we have Boros Charm to protect against board wipes of all sorts. Cloud Shift and Ephemerate work really well with what the deck is trying to do, and particularly well with Ardent Elementalist. Semester's End is going to work really well with the deck because it's board wipe protection that also rebuys all of our ETBs. And moving on to enchantments, we have Hot Pursuit, which is really good by suspecting and goading a creature an opponent controls, which works very well with our commander. Also late game, it can just gain control of a bunch of our opponent's creatures for a nice alpha swing. Nahiri's Resolve is perfect in this deck. It gives haste to our commander, which is obviously very nice, but then we can also exile any number of creatures we want at the end of our turn and bring them back during the next upkeep ready to attack. Super strong effect. Teleportation Circle is doing the same thing as Conjurer's Closet, which is very powerful in this deck. And finally, moving on to lands, I just wanted to highlight Rogue's Passage because obviously it's very good with our commander, particularly if we've had any way to buff it. It's actually very easy to finish the game with Agrus Kos once we slap something like Blackblade Reforged onto him. So there you have it. That has been our Agrus Kos Spirit of Justice deck tech. What do you think about this one? It honestly seems like a really unique take on Boros. I'm looking forward to hearing your experiences playing with the deck. But what do you think? Are there any cards that I shouldn't have added? Any things I missed? Let me know in the comment section below. I read all comments and respond to all of them too. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to click like or subscribe. It really helps the channel. And until next time, take care.